are not necessarily extremely open about the sadness that we experience with grief, the sorrow, or negative emotions. We live in a society that's really prized on being positive and kind of hiding the hard things away. And the brilliant thing about a support group is that you come to realize that the hard things don't only exist for you, but they exist for so many other people in your community or in the world in general.
I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people say I've dealt with it. A lot of people are really stuck in some areas. I know that you don't believe in the stages, that grief shows itself in so many different ways, and that we can have phases that intermingle, but that we don't have to actually experience whatever that phase or that name is that we learn. It can come out in so many different ways. So I hear a lot of times people do try to deal with it on their own. They're not aware that they may be grieving when they're feeling frustrated all the time, you know, and so it's really important for people to move through the grief, because I hear also people say that I'll be grieving for the rest of my life, and I tell them that you may not be actually grieving the rest of your life because they're scared that they're going to forget their loved ones, so, or whatever it is that they lost. You don't forget, you just don't have those intense emotions, and you help them navigate that. Is that correct?
And one of the bigger focuses that has arisen in our group so far is intentionally creating a new relationship with the person that has passed. So it's one of the more important things that we can focus on in our grief process is recognizing that our connection to that person doesn't pass away with them, and creating spaces of ritual within our life that honor those people or that person and carry them on with us. So people feel afraid often that they're going to grieve forever, and what I tell them is that they're going to walk with grief forever, but they're not necessarily going to be grieving forever.
Wow. And you know, the other thing is we are mentioning the loss of a person, but grief isn't necessarily the loss of a loved one, because we're seeing intense grief associated to shift in relationships, transitional care, when somebody has to separate with a loved one because they may need a different level of care, and so they can't live at home anymore. Other people, maybe their child has moved away. You want to tell us a little bit about grief when it's not connected to the loss of a loved one?
Grief, even in connection to the loss of a loved one, is just a response to change. We find ourselves in this space in between what we once had and what we're building that's new for ourselves, and we grieve for that thing that we once had, whether it be a relationship, a past career, our own physical health, and the process is quite similar to losing someone, but instead you lost a piece of your own identity. And so then the focus there, much like with the loss of a loved one, it's like with continuing on with recognizing you're still connected to that person. The focus there becomes, you know, we're building a new identity, but we're always connected to that old life that we had. It's valuable, but we're also able to move on.
So letting go.
Yeah.
That's not easy, is it? A lot of people don't like change, and therapists, coaches, we're change agents, and that might be a little scared for you. Did you love that?
Yeah, I love that.
So who should attend? What is the age group that you are working with in this grief guidance group that we're presenting today?
At this point, I'm mainly working with adults through their grief, but there is the possibility, if there's interest, of working with younger people through their grief as well.
For now, with the group that we are presenting, I know that we actually bring groups based on what the community wants.
Yeah.
I think right now you have a drop-in where people can just drop in. Saturdays,
in person.
There's an in-person at Insight Wellness Center in San Ramon in California. And then there's the Zoom one, and that's a drop-in as well.
Tuesdays.
Okay, all right, so it's a continuous, and would you say it's safe to say 19 to 119?
Yeah,
or, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
If someone is receiving individual therapy, you know, they may be addressing their grief in psychotherapy. What would the benefit be of attending a group? How do they complement each other?
Yeah. So in one-on-one therapy, we're really working deeply through deep-rooted patterns that we're struggling with that therapist, for that, with one-on-one attention that's so important for us. And then when you transition and add a support group in there, you have the benefit of no longer feeling alone in your process. You have the benefit of being surrounded by people who are having a very similar experience, which can really lower feelings of distress around the experience that you're having. And then it also bolsters your support system. We don't often think broadly about our support systems like that, but the more support that we can have in the arena of whether it be grief, depression, anxiety, trauma, weight, whatever it is, the better off we're going to be. And you get a huge support system when you join a group in all of the people that you're working with and in the facilitator.
Have you found in the grief guidance group that you're running down now that people are connecting and making relationships? I know some people can attend and just are okay listening and they get so much out of it, but it seems to me that in your groups people are opening up, they're connecting, they're guiding each other, and you're helping them guide healthy and giving them perspective, but it also seems like it's a place where there's a lot of connection, where people are feeling purposeful. They're able to share their stories, and also because not everybody's bringing the same grief in the group, and if they've experienced something like that, but people who are coming to the group aren't there to help other people, they're there to help each other. I think naturally that happens, correct?
It does.
Okay, so complementing psychotherapy in that it offers a different perspective, a sense of that you're not alone. And I would say that it's very safe to say, you know, statistically, that when people do both, the healing process is stronger and faster. But they also are very individual and different, because with psychotherapy, like you said, you're delving into the treatment, where with the guidance group, the grief guidance group, you are learning, you're expressing, and you're joining. Am I right?
With other people. Another important thing about the grief guidance group and all of the groups at Insight Wellness and how it differs from the psychotherapy you're receiving is that we also focus on tangible goals that we have in our life and how to achieve those goals despite whatever we're experiencing or struggling with, that we're focused on in the grief group. So making sure that we're taking steps to move forward while also continuing to heal.
Well, Kaitlyn, thank you so much for attending today. This has been very insightful. That's why we call it Let's Talk Insights. Oh my gosh, we're going to have you again, because Kaitlyn does other groups as well with anxiety and trauma and depression. So I will have you back and interview if you will be happy to.
Yay,
thank you. If you'd like to attend one of our groups, you can go to insightforwellness.com, Insight, INSIGHTFOR, wellness.com, and then go to the groups page and all the information will be there. You can also call us at 925-216-3510, and we will help you register or answer your questions. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kaitlyn.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
You will.